So recently there's been a lot of buzz coming out of the Anambra State in Nigeria, particularly surrounding the 2025 Anambra governorship election. Now, for those of you who've been following the Nigerian political scene, the headline says it all. Anambra decides 2025, Tinubu presidency mocks Peter Obi for losing polling unit to APC. It's creating quite the ripple, and I want to break it down for you. First off, this isn't just another election result. This is about Peter Obi, the former presidential candidate from the Labour Party, LP, losing in his own polling unit, a unit where you'd expect him to absolutely dominate. After all, Obi's connection with Anambra is quite deep. He's seen as one of the most influential political figures coming from that region. His loss here isn't just about numbers, it's about symbolism. When you're the leader of a party and you lose in your backyard, that sends a message, whether you like it or not. To put things in perspective, the results from Obi's own polling unit in Igulu Ward 11, Anaocha LGA, were eye-catching. The APC, All Progressives Congress, candidate won with 73 votes. Obi's party, the Labour Party, LP, trailed with only 57 votes. And then there's the APGA, All Progressives Grand Alliance, who came in third with 38 votes. Now, if you've been following Nigerian politics, you'd know that Anambra State has been a stronghold for LP, especially when Peter Obi was running for president. For him to lose here now, well, that's a big deal. It shows that the ground is shifting, and that's what the presidency jumped on when they started mocking Obi. Bayo Onanuga, the presidency's spokesman, went straight to social media, and he wasn't holding back. His words were sharp and direct as he mocked Obi for losing his own polling unit, calling him the pontificator who could not deliver his own polling unit to his party. Those words stung, and you could feel the weight of them. On one hand, the presidency seems to be relishing this win, turning it into a point of mockery. On the other hand, Obi and his supporters have had to wrestle with the reality that the momentum, at least in this particular area, might not be as strong as it was in 2023. This is important because Obi's rise has been a story of political hope for many, especially those who felt disillusioned with the older political elites. But now this result puts a huge question mark over his influence. If Obi can't even secure his own stronghold in Anambra, where does that leave him as a viable political force going forward? And more importantly, what does it say about the LP's chances in the upcoming elections? But let's take a step back for a second. Is this result really as bad as it seems? After all, it's just one polling unit, right? Well, yes and no. While it's true that one polling unit may not necessarily define the entire election outcome, it's the symbolism of the loss that's the issue. This loss in Obi's own unit speaks volumes. It suggests that maybe the support Obi thought he had is more fragile than it seems. You have to understand that politics, especially in Nigeria, is about perception. Losing in your own area is a blow to that perception. Now, what about the APC? What are they making of this? They're definitely riding high off this victory. And why wouldn't they? This is a clear win for them, and they're using it to paint a picture of strength, particularly in the southeast region, where they've historically had less influence. Winning in a place like Anambra, especially in a polling unit tied to Peter Obi, is nothing short of a political statement. It's the kind of thing that makes headlines and grabs attention. The APC is capitalizing on this moment to show that they are making inroads into territory that was once considered to be solidly under the control of opposition parties. But is this just a one-off result, or could this signal a bigger trend? We'll have to see what happens in the coming days and weeks as more results come in. If this loss is part of a wider trend where LP is losing ground in key areas, then it could mean that the political map in Nigeria is about to change. It would be a significant shift, and not one that LP or Peter Obi could afford to ignore. But I'm not just talking about numbers here. Let's look at the broader implications. We've seen how political momentum can shift in Nigeria. One moment, A party can be riding high, and then the next, they're struggling to maintain relevance. If Obi and LP want to bounce back, they need to start by examining why they lost in Anambra. Was it a failure of the party machinery? A lack of voter enthusiasm? Or was it just a case of bad luck, with a few key supporters staying home or not turning out to vote? Obi has always presented himself as the alternative to the status quo. He's the guy who's going to shake things up, right? But if he's not able to hold his ground in Anambra, where his support is most vital, can he really offer anything different for the rest of Nigeria? And more importantly, can the LP continue to build a movement if the leader can't even secure his own base? What this loss also reveals is the power of local politics. While many of us get caught up in the national headlines, the real fight often happens on the ground. It's about local leaders, local candidates, and local issues. If Obi and LP want to stay relevant, they have to do the hard work of engaging with people on the ground, not just in the cities, but in the smaller towns and villages that make up the core of their base. They need to rebuild trust and re-energize their supporters. If they don't, they risk losing more ground to APC and other rising political forces. It's not all doom and gloom for Obi though. There's still time for him and LP to recalibrate and refocus. They can still engage in grassroots outreach, forge new alliances, and prove that this loss was an anomaly, not the beginning of a downward spiral. But it will take hard work, strategic thinking, and most importantly, a clear understanding of why they lost in the first place. The APC, on the other hand, is undoubtedly pleased with this result, but the two need to be careful not to get too comfortable. Winning one polling unit, even in Obi's stronghold, doesn't necessarily mean they've won the larger battle. They'll need to keep up the momentum and not let this be just a flash in the pan. They've been trying for years to break into the southeast, and while this is a win, they can't afford to think it's the start of a lasting trend without further evidence. And then there's the bigger picture. The 2027 general election is just around the corner. If this result is any indication, things are about to get even more intense. We're going to see a lot of strategizing, realignments, and possibly even new political alliances. The stakes have never been higher, and with this loss, Peter Obi and the Labour Party have just been put on notice. The APC is hungry, and they're not backing down. So, what's next? We're going to see how Obi and the LP respond. Will they retreat and rethink their strategy? Will they double down and continue to fight for their vision of a new Nigeria? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. The political landscape in Anambra, and indeed Nigeria, is shifting. And this loss is a major indicator of what's to come. The reality is, these local results and reactions from the likes of the APC and LP are just the beginning of a much larger conversation. And this, I believe, ties into the state of politics in Nigeria today, where every move, every result, every conversation feels like it's part of a larger narrative about change or the lack of it. One of the major points that stands out is the role of perception in politics. If the narrative becomes that Peter Obi can't even hold his own turf in Anambra, then that narrative starts to take hold nationally. And in Nigerian politics, narrative is everything. Whether it's true or not, perception becomes reality. If people begin to doubt Obi's influence in his own home state, will that erode trust in his ability to lead the country? Will it push voters to look elsewhere for change? Now, this isn't to say that Obi is finished or that the LP should pack up and go home. Politics in Nigeria is incredibly fluid. What happens today can change in an instant. But Obi, LP, and their supporters need to carefully watch how this loss unfolds. If this turns into a trend, then it could be a problem. It's about momentum. And right now, the momentum is with the APC in this particular instance. But if LP can rally and reposition itself, they might still have a fighting chance. The key will be in how they manage this loss. Will they come back with an even stronger strategy, or will they flounder? Obi has always been someone who has managed to rally people around him, so it would be interesting to see how he spins this loss into a win, even if it's just in terms of perception. The APC, for its part, has been trying to consolidate its power across Nigeria, especially in areas where it has not traditionally been strong. The party has faced criticism over the years for being too Lagos-centric, and Anambra, along with other states in the southeast, has been a political battleground. APC's victory in Obi's home polling unit could signal a breakthrough for them in the region. But it's important to remember that Anambra, like many other states, isn't monolithic. A win in one area doesn't mean that the entire state is now an APC stronghold. So, while they are basking in the victory right now, APC has to keep pushing forward if they want to maintain that momentum. Looking ahead, let's talk about the 2027 election. If the parties keep up with their current momentum, the 2027 elections could be one of the most contentious in recent Nigerian history. With Obi possibly losing ground and the APC looking stronger in some regions, it begs the question, will the opposition be able to unite behind a single candidate or platform? Nigeria has a long history of political fragmentation, and if the opposition can't consolidate, the APC might easily hold on to power for another term. But the future isn't just about who wins or loses on the ground. It's also about the broader political strategy. We are at a point where politicians can't just rely on traditional methods of campaigning. Social media is the new battleground. Messaging, branding, and perception play as much of a role as physical campaigning, and even more so in this digital age. So far, we've seen how the APC has harnessed its power on social media. And it's clear that they understand the importance of narrative building. This could be crucial as we move closer to 2027. What this all boils down to is that the future of Nigerian politics is extremely unpredictable. We've seen parties rise and fall, and candidates who seemed unbeatable suddenly falter. There are many factors at play: party machinery, grassroots support, national sentiment, and even international pressure. And anyone who tries to predict the outcome of future elections with certainty is likely to be proven wrong. But if there's one thing that we know for sure, it's that the stakes are high. Whether it's Obi's loss in his own polling unit, APC's newfound strength in the southeast, or the looming 2027 election, Nigerian politics is at a crossroads. The decisions made today by the parties, by the candidates, and by the voters will shape the future of the country. So, as we watch this drama unfold, we need to keep our eyes on the ball. Every move counts. If you've been following this story, you know this is just the beginning. The results in Anambra, the reactions from both parties, and the looming 2027 elections are all connected. How will this play out? We'll have to wait and see, but one thing's for certain. Nigeria's political drama is just heating up. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more real-time updates, and leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of Obi's loss in his own polling unit? Is it just a bump in the road, or does it spell trouble for his political future? Let's discuss below. And remember, we'll keep bringing you the latest news as it unfolds, so stay tuned for more.